Level 1. You are 38 years old. You just crossed $1 million, and you have already begun, without noticing, to lie about it. It's a Saturday afternoon, and you are at a backyard cookout with people you have known for years, and someone asks how work is going. And you say, fine, good, busy, the way you always have. You do not say that you crossed $1 million last month. You do not say it because you know, with total certainty, that saying it would change the temperature of this yard. The conversation would tilt. Some of them would be happy for you, and some of them would not, and either way, you would stop being simply one of them. And so you do the thing that seems obviously right, the small, sensible, protective thing. You keep it to yourself. And in that moment, without any ceremony at all, you build the first wall. You do not experience it as a wall. You experience it as discretion, as modesty, as good manners, as protecting a friendship from something that would only complicate it. And you are right. All of that is true. But notice what has actually happened. There is now a fact about your life, a significant one, that the people closest to you do not know, and you have decided they cannot know. And so there is a room inside you they are not allowed into. It is a small room at this level, and the friendships survive it easily. But the room exists now, and it did not exist last year. And every rung of the ladder you are about to climb will make it larger. This is the first thing nobody tells you about wealth isolation. The first thing is that isolation does not begin with mansions or bodyguards or private planes. It begins with a single reasonable silence. The first time you decide that the truth about your money would cost you more than the lie of omission. Almost nobody at this level feels isolated because nothing has visibly changed and every choice you have made has been correct. But you have introduced a permanent asymmetry into every relationship you have. One where you know something about the two of you that they do not. And asymmetry, once introduced, does not go away. It only compounds. The distance starts here, in a backyard, in a friendly conversation, in a sentence you decided not to say. You laugh at someone's joke and get another drink. Nothing is wrong. Everything is exactly as it was. And a small door has closed that will never fully open again. The verb at level 1 is separate. You separate, gently, by keeping a truth to yourself. Separating at this level means discovering that the first act of wealth is concealment, and that a fortune begins to isolate you the instant it becomes a thing you cannot say out loud to the people who know you best. Level 2. You are 43. You are worth $5 million, and you have started, quietly and reasonably, to sort the people around you. It began after the first few requests. The cousin who needed a loan. The old classmate who reappeared with a business idea. The friend of a friend who somehow knew what you were worth and wanted to talk about an opportunity. None of them were villains. Most of them meant no harm. But you noticed something after the 5th or 6th conversation, which is that you had started listening differently, waiting for the turn, the moment the warmth resolved into a request. And so you began to filter. Fewer new people, more care with old ones. A quiet screening process, running underneath every interaction, sorting the world into those who want something and those who do not. This is a rational response to a real problem, and you should be clear about that. The requests are real. Some people genuinely are drawn to money. Filtering is not paranoia at this level. It is maintenance, the necessary work of protecting yourself from being drained. But look at the cost, because it is invisible and it is enormous. You have stopped meeting people openly. The default posture toward a stranger has shifted from curiosity to assessment, and you cannot switch it off. Because the filter that protects you from the takers also stands between you and everyone else, including the people who wanted nothing at all. You have made yourself safe by making yourself unreachable, and you have not yet noticed the trade. This is the second thing nobody tells you about wealth isolation. The second thing is that the filter you install to protect yourself becomes the filter through which you experience every human being for the rest of your life. You will never again meet someone without, somewhere in the back of your mind, running the calculation of what they might want. And the calculation is usually correct, and it usually protects you, and it will slowly, permanently deprive you of the experience of simply liking someone without conditions. The takers taught you to build the filter. The filter now keeps out everyone. This is how isolation compounds, not through any single betrayal, but through the reasonable defenses you build against betrayals that really did happen. You decline an invitation from someone new. It is probably the right call. It is also the third invitation you have declined this month. And the worst part is that the filter is usually right, which is exactly what makes it impossible to abandon. Every time you screen someone out and later hear that they were asking about you, about what you have, about whether you might invest, the filter is vindicated and you trust it a little more. It gets sharper each year, better calibrated, harder to argue with. You will never get evidence for the people it wrongly excluded, because you never let them close enough to prove you wrong. And so the filter grows stronger on a diet of confirmed suspicions and never once hears from the friendships it quietly prevented. The verb at level 2 is filter. You filter, sensibly, everyone who comes near you. Filtering at this level means installing a permanent screen between yourself and other people. One that keeps out the takers and, without ever meaning to, keeps out everyone else along with them. Level 3. You are 48. You are worth $20 million, and you have moved, for excellent reasons, into a house where nobody can reach you. The new place is beautiful and set back from the road, behind a gate, in a neighborhood where the houses are far apart, and the neighbors are people you will never really know. You told yourself it was for privacy, for security, for the family, and all of that was true. What you did not think about, because nobody thinks about it, is what you traded away. In your old neighborhood, someone knocked on the door. Neighbors saw you take out the trash. There was an ambient, low-grade, constant human friction, the accidental contact of ordinary life. And it was the medium in which almost all of your casual relationships grew. Behind the gate, that friction is gone. Nothing accidental happens here. Nobody drops by. Because dropping by is no longer physically possible, and you have to schedule, arrange, and plan every single human encounter you will have from now on. You have insulated yourself, and insulation works. Which is the problem? The gate keeps out the danger and the nuisance and the stranger, and it also keeps out the spontaneous, the unplanned, the friend who was in the neighborhood. Your life, for the first time, contains no accidents. Everyone who reaches you now has decided to reach you, has made an effort, has crossed a barrier to get to you. And something in the texture of human connection dies when it always has to be deliberate, when nothing can ever just happen. Wealth at this level buys you a house that protects you from the world, and the protection is total, and the world is where everyone you love lives. This is the third thing nobody tells you about wealth isolation. The third thing is that physical security and human connection are traded against each other, and money always buys the security. Every gate, every wall, every mile of distance between your house and the nearest neighbor is a genuine gain in safety and a genuine loss of accidental contact. The incidental collisions that build ordinary relationships. Nobody warns you, because a gate looks like an upgrade and never like a subtraction. But the richest neighborhoods on earth are also the quietest, the emptiest, the ones where no one ever knocks. And there is a reason for that, and the reason is not that wealthy people prefer solitude. It is that they bought a kind of safety that comes, in the fine print, at the price of everybody. You look out over the grounds. It is very beautiful and very quiet. You cannot remember the last time someone simply appeared at your door. The verb at level 3 is insulate. You insulate, effectively, against the world. Insulating at this level means buying real safety with real money and paying for it in accidental human contact. Until your life contains no unplanned encounters at all, and every relationship you have must survive on appointments alone. Level 4. You are 54. You are worth $75 million. And other people now handle almost everything that used to put you in contact with the world. There is someone who manages your schedule, someone who handles the house, people who deal with your money, your travel, your affairs. Every one of these hires was obviously correct, freeing your time, removing friction, letting you focus on what matters. And each one quietly removed a place where you used to touch ordinary life. You do not stand in lines. You do not fix problems. You do not make small talk with the person at the counter, because there is no counter anymore. There is someone who handles it. The thousand small frictions of daily existence. The ones you spent your whole life resenting turn out to have been the places where you brushed against other human beings, and you have systematically eliminated all of them. And a strange thing has happened to the people who surround you. You are now, to most of them, an employer. The people you see most. The ones who know your daily rhythms and your habits and your preferences are people who work for you, whose kindness toward you is entangled with their livelihood. They are often lovely. Many of them genuinely like you. But you can never fully know that, because the relationship is structurally unequal, and their warmth, however real, is warmth that also happens to be their job. You are surrounded by people all day long, and you have almost no relationships in which the other person is free. This is the fourth thing nobody tells you about wealth isolation. The fourth thing is that delegating your life to staff removes both the friction and the contact, and replaces your peers with employees. The efficiency is enormous and the loss is invisible. You bought back your time by paying other people to live the parts of your life that involved other people. And now the majority of your human interaction happens with people who are paid to be there. Nobody in your daily orbit can tell you that you are wrong, or that you have changed, or that you are being ridiculous, because you sign their checks, and so you lose not just contact but honesty. The ordinary corrective friction of equals who have nothing to lose by telling you the truth. Your assistant laughs at your joke. It was not a very good joke. You notice, and then you decide not to think about it. The verb at level 4 is delegate. You delegate, efficiently, every point of contact you had with ordinary life. Delegating at this level means trading friction for isolation, and finding your peers quietly replaced by employees, people who like you, perhaps, but who are never entirely free to tell you anything true. Level 5. You are 59. You are worth $300 million, and you have sealed yourself inside a world that no longer contains anyone who is not there because of your money. Look honestly at your life now. Where do you go? You move between properties, between private terminals, through spaces that are, by design, populated only by people of similar wealth and the ordinary world. The one with buses and grocery stores and lines and strangers has become a place you observe rather than inhabit. You have not walked through a normal neighborhood in years. You cannot remember the last conversation you had with someone who did not know what you were worth. The seal is complete now, and inside it are your family, your staff, your advisors, and a small number of very rich people who are the only ones who can meet you without the asymmetry crushing the exchange, and outside it is essentially everyone else alive. And here is what you did not anticipate. Inside the seal, honesty becomes almost impossible to obtain. Your advisors are paid. Your staff depend on you. Even your peers, the other very wealthy, are usually connected to you through deals and interests and the possibility of future business. There is nobody left in your daily life whose only relationship to you is that they know you and like you and have nothing whatsoever to gain. And you did not banish those people. You simply built, one reasonable decision at a time, a world they could not enter, and then you noticed, one ordinary evening, that they were all outside of it. This is the fifth thing nobody tells you about wealth isolation. The fifth thing is that at a certain scale, you stop living in the same world as other people. And no amount of goodwill can bridge the distance. You are not hiding from ordinary life, you simply no longer intersect it. Because every space you occupy has been sorted by wealth before you ever arrive. The seal was not built by arrogance. It was built by security concerns and convenience, and the entirely reasonable preference to spend time with people who understand your circumstances. Each brick was sensible, and the finished structure is a life in which you cannot meet anyone, ever, who is not there because of what you have. Someone asks how you are, and you say fine, and they nod. And you realize you cannot remember the last time that question was asked by someone who wanted nothing from you at all. The verb at level 5 is seal. You seal, completely, the world you live inside. Sealing at this level means occupying only spaces that have been sorted by wealth and losing access to the one thing you cannot buy back. A person who is in your life for no reason except that they like you. Level 6. You are 65. You are worth $2 billion, and people no longer relate to you. They orbit you. Watch a room change when you enter it. The conversation adjusts. Postures shift. People become slightly performative, slightly careful, and the ones who do not are performing that too, working hard to seem unimpressed. You cannot see how any room behaves when you are not in it, because your presence is now a force that bends the space around you. And every observation you make of other people is an observation of people reacting to your wealth. You have become a gravitational body. Everything in your vicinity is in orbit, and orbits are not relationships. They are trajectories bent by mass. And the isolation has become total in a way that is difficult to explain to anyone who has not lived it. Not loneliness in the ordinary sense. Because you are constantly surrounded, constantly attended to, rarely physically alone. It is something stranger. It is being permanently unable to have an ordinary interaction, an unbent exchange. A moment where another person simply meets you as a person. Everyone who speaks to you is speaking to $2 billion wearing a face. They cannot help it. You cannot help it. And the mass that draws them all toward you is the very thing that makes it impossible for any of them to actually reach you. This is the sixth thing nobody tells you about wealth isolation. The sixth thing is that at the scale of billions, your wealth becomes a physical property of every room you enter. And human relationships require an equal ground that no longer exists anywhere in your life. You cannot fix this with humility or with generosity or by being an unusually decent person. Because it is not a moral problem, it is a structural one. Mass bends space. You are massive. Everything near you curves, and the curving is not anyone's fault. And it cannot be undone by good intentions, and it means that the last honest, level, unbent conversation you had probably happened decades ago, before you had the money. And you cannot remember which one it was, because you had no idea it would be the last. You look around at a room full of people who are, all of them, in orbit. Not one of them is standing beside you. There is no beside anymore. And you cannot test it, which is the maddening part. You cannot arrange to meet someone without your wealth preceding you. Cannot arrange a conversation in which the other person does not know. You have tried, occasionally, small experiments in anonymity, and they always fail because the way you speak and dress and carry yourself. The assumptions you make about what is possible, all of it announces you before your name ever does. There is no disguise available to you. No room you can enter as nobody. No way to find out what an ordinary exchange with a stranger would even feel like anymore. The verb at level 6 is orbit. They orbit you, drawn and bent by your mass. Orbiting at this level means losing the equal ground that all real relationships require, and learning that this is not a failure of character but of physics. That a fortune large enough will curve every human interaction that comes near it. Level 7. You are 71. You are worth $10 billion, and you are as close to alone as a human being can be while surrounded, at every hour, by people. Think about Tom, your friend from before. The one you knew at 26, when you were both broke and neither of you was anything, who once told you, to your face, that you were being an idiot about something, and was right, and you both laughed about it for years. Tom never asked you for money. Tom never resented you. Tom simply, gradually, stopped calling, because the gap grew too wide to talk across, because a friendship needs equal ground, and there was none left. Because he did not want to seem like he wanted anything, and could not figure out how to talk to you without that hanging in the air. He is still alive. You could call him tomorrow. And you both know it would be an event, careful and strange, and not the thing it was, and neither of you could ever get back to that. And here it is, the thing the whole climb was teaching you. You did not become isolated because you were cruel or arrogant, or because the world abandoned you. You became isolated because at every single level you made an entirely reasonable decision. It was reasonable to keep the money quiet. Reasonable to filter the people who wanted things. Reasonable to buy security. Reasonable to hire help. Reasonable to spend time with people who understood your world. Reasonable, always, at every rung, and each reasonable decision built one wall. And the walls added up to a fortress, and you are inside it now, and the walls are load-bearing. And you cannot remove them without exposing yourself to everything they were built to protect you from. That is the trap. Not that you were foolish, that you were sensible, and that sensible, applied to enough money, produces solitude. This is the seventh thing nobody tells you about wealth isolation. The seventh thing is that the isolation is not a side effect of wealth. It is the accumulated shape of protecting it. Every wall you built was a solution to a real problem your money created, and every solution worked. And the sum of all those working solutions is a life in which no one can reach you. The fortune did not take your friends. Your entirely justified defense of the fortune did. And the cruelest part is that there was no obvious moment to stop, no rung where the choice was clearly wrong. Only a long series of correct decisions that led, correctly, to a place where a man worth $10 billion sits in a room full of people and cannot find a single one who is simply standing beside him. The verb at level 7 is vanish. You vanish, behind walls that every reasonable person would have built. Vanishing at this level means arriving at total protection and total distance. and discovering that they were always the same thing, and that the cost of the fortune was never money. It was every person who could no longer reach across it to find you. So let's pull this together. At level 1, you separate by keeping a single reasonable silence about what you have. At level 2, you filter, screening out the takers and invisibly everyone else along with them. At level 3, you insulate, buying safety with a gate that also ends every accidental encounter. At level 4, you delegate, trading friction for isolation and replacing your peers with employees. At level 5, you seal, occupying only spaces already sorted by wealth, where no one is present for free. At level 6, they orbit you, because your mass bends every room and equal ground no longer exists. At level 7, you vanish, behind a fortress built entirely out of sensible decisions. Here is the thing nobody on YouTube will tell you about wealth isolation. Nobody imposes it on you. You build it yourself, and you build it out of good decisions. This is the part that makes it so hard to escape and so hard to see coming. If isolation arrived as a punishment or as the consequence of arrogance, you could simply choose to be humble and avoid it. But it does not. It arrives as a series of correct responses to real problems, the request that really was manipulative, the stranger who really was dangerous, the friend who really did become strange about the money. Every wall you built had a genuine reason. Every wall worked. And the walls are the isolation. There is no version of this where you protect a large fortune and remain as reachable as you were when you had nothing, because the protection and the isolation are not two different things. They are one thing, seen from inside and outside. And that means the loneliness at the top is not a moral failing of rich people, and it is not the world's cruelty either. It is arithmetic. A fortune large enough distorts every relationship that comes near it, and the defenses you build against that distortion distort the rest. The money did not cost you your friends. Defending the money did, one reasonable choice at a time, over decades, until the last person who ever spoke to you as an equal stopped calling and you barely noticed the year it happened. So if you are climbing, and you should climb, because wealth is worth building and this video is not an argument for staying poor, then understand exactly what you are being asked to pay. And decide in advance which walls you will refuse to build. Keep some friends from before, and keep them close enough to insult you. Stay in rooms where you are not the richest person. Refuse, at least sometimes, the gate and the intermediary and the perfectly reasonable filter, and accept the small costs of remaining reachable. And if you are already there, already sealed in, understand that the walls came from good intentions and that they can still, some of them, come down. Call the person who knew you before. Do it badly. Let it be awkward. Because a fortune is worth exactly as much as the life it lets you live, and no amount of money on earth has ever bought back a single person who simply, freely, wanted to stand beside you. Somewhere right now, a 38-year-old at a backyard cookout has just crossed $1 million, and someone has asked how work is going. And they have said fine, good, busy, and kept the truth to themselves, because saying it would change the temperature of the yard. They do not know they just built the first wall. They do not know that the next one will also be reasonable, and the one after that each will solve a real problem. And that 30 years from now they will sit in a room full of people who are paid to be there, or bent toward them by $2 billion of gravity, and will not be able to name the last person who spoke to them as an equal. They think the money is the thing they are building. They are also building the distance. In the same motion, with the same hands. The ladder has 7 levels, and every rung is a sensible decision. Separate, filter, insulate, delegate, seal, orbit, vanish. Nobody pushes you up it. You climb it yourself, protecting something valuable, and you arrive at the top perfectly safe, perfectly private, perfectly unreachable, holding a fortune, in a room where no one is standing beside you. If this video changed how you think about wealth and what it costs, hit subscribe. We have more videos like this on the channel, each one pulling apart a piece of what money really does to a life. Underneath the story we are usually sold. See you in the next one.